What's going on, everybody? TheKennyDubz here with another Megaman X dive overview video. Today we're going to be taking a look at Gangsta Boy segment as he comes to the global version this week. Alright, so here we're taking a look at Gangsta Boy Sigma. You know, a nice little delinquent, or I guess big delinquent, because Sigma looks to be pretty tall. I assume Sigma is at least my height. Other than that, let's take a look at the splash screen real quick here. Looks pretty cool there. You have to zoom out quite a bit to see everything for Sigma. All right, let's take a look at the skills. First up, we have Dual Invitation. Issues an invitation letter to the target, which instantly deals 360% attack damage in slow state. I don't know why it says slow state instead of the just inflicting slow, but reducing movement speed by 55% when it connects, which is huge. That's a fat slow. When the distance between the two sides is reduced to less than 3, the duel will be initiated, and every 2 seconds you gain a damage boost to yourself, increasing damage by 22%, and can be stacked up to 3 levels. If the distance between you and the target increases to 5, you continue to deal damage to targets in range. If there is no target in range, you cannot use the skill. So, unfortunately, I don't really know a good way to translate this so that it's very easy to consume and understand, because we don't have a real way of garnering what the distance is. So saying distance is less than 3 or more than 5, like that's really not helpful to anyone, right? So I can't really say anything about that. I like the only thing I could really compare it to is like the distance boosts or the distance adaptability, like, you know, 0, short, mid, long range, or extremely long range, things like that. But even then, I still don't think that's very good, because that doesn't really tell people, you know, how long that is, especially if you don't already know. But decent skill here. Amazing slow stat on it, and a huge amount of damage on it from the multiplier. First up, with the power increase, instantly increase the damage dealt by 25% when the dual invitation letter is received. So a pretty sizable increase there in power increase, actually a relevant one. Invitation extension, increase the duration of invitation length by 30%. And short range boost, damage increase for all attacks when hitting a target in short range by 10%, which isn't bad. I also find it funny how, like, for short range boost, they just use the Mega Buster. It's pretty interesting there. Yeah, that's a skill 1. Moving on over to a skill 2, Lethal Combo. Punch and lunge forward and 240% attack damage along the path. Not take any damage when skill is active. You can then unleash a shockwave that ignores terrain to your left and right to deal damage to targets in your path. And the damage becomes 50% after it penetrates a target without taking any damage during use. This is also a nice skill as well. This is your movement skill. This also is it's a 2-step thing, so you have the shockwave and you have the punch. Unfortunately, the wiki doesn't have the information that I would like here for this, but telling me how much damage shockwave does. You know, but it is what it is. For the modifier chips for this one, we have power increase, increases the damage multiplier of lunge by 10%. You know, still have the power increase, but at least it's more than 5%. Power increase increases the damage multiplier of the shockwave here. So here's the shockwave as well, as you can see that. The multiplier of that increased by 10%, but we don't know how much damage the multiplier does, or how much, you know, damage it does inherently, so it's great, I guess. And finally, we have Captain's Aura. When using lethal combo, gain a shield that can inflict 84% attack damage. The shield's not the greatest, but I mean, it's nice to have. I'd like it if it was a little bit beefier, to be quite honest, but you know what? What can you do? It still provides a shield, which is inherently good. For the passive skills, we have Even Stronger, and this is quite interesting. Damage increased by 15%, 30%, 45% when HP is 75%, 50%, 25%, and less. So, when your HP is increased, is 75% or less, you get a 15% power boost. When it's 50% or less, you get a 30% power boost. And when it's 25% or less, you get a 45% power boost, which is quite nuts. So, the more beating you're taking, the stronger your attacks get. Gaining predator shield when using the skill. This says using the skill, so I assume just using any skill. And you do not take any negative status. Again, I would like them to change the wording on that. Still going back to the beginning, also a 8-second cooldown. Pretty nice there. The more of a beating you're taking, you know, the more damage you end up dishing out. Next up, we have melee proficiency. When equipping a melee weapon, damage increased by 15%, and damage you take reduced by 15%. So that's nice as well, just inherently some more defense as well. So you have your shield, you have this when equipping a melee weapon. So then that's a lot better, because that means you could take more attacks, meaning you should be in a little bit less danger when, when your even stronger is triggering and you have less than 3. And now here comes a real good one. Fist to Fist. When attacks hit a target, has a chance to gain enhanced crit, which increases crit rate by 30%, stackable up to 4 levels. When being hit, there is a chance to obtain enhanced crit damage and increase crit damage by 25%, which is stackable up to 4 levels. Now, this is part of the reason why Gangsta Boy Sigma is really, really good, especially in raids, because you get increased crit rate and increased crit damage when you're hitting and being hit, which is very, very nice there. Next up, Resolute Struggle. Gain a long duration shield that can withstand 400% attack damage when HP drops below 25%. That's relevant because you're even stronger. That's when you're even stronger triggers for the for the maximum boost. So you get a very, very potent shield then, and it's long lasting. It's only activated once per stage. The shield cannot be removed. That's actually insane as well, because if the shield could be removed, that'd be really, really bad, considering things like grudge axe, interference, things like that. Can coexist with the shield of Captain's Aura, which is very interesting because typically they overwrite each other, but this allows it to coexist. And gain acceleration status that cannot be removed after using lethal combo, increasing movement speed by 36%, which is good as well for increasing movement speed when you engage, disengage, and things like that. And then finally, we have Man's Duel. Causes immobile status after lethal combo hits a target. Enhancement status that reduces damage taken by 75%, and can be stacked for 2 levels. So when you hit your lethal combo, you can get up to a 15% damage reduction status on top of this right here, which is quite nice. So that's inherently 30% on top of your shields that you have access to. Either using a limitation, forcibly pull the target in range that was invited to the duel and was affected by the slow state towards you, only effective in players. This is really, really good as well, because now people can get, you can just bring them to you, and then you'll be in a short range for some CQC, and you get your short range boost, and you're just a threat up close because you have all your other passives to make you even more threatening. Now, following that, Gangsta Boy Sigma does have some DNA. As per usual, don't think his DNA is going to drop with him, but we're going over it anyway. First up, energy feedback. When defeating a target with a weapon or skill, recover HP equal to 24% of the attack. This effect only triggers once more after a 6-second cooldown. Not really good in PvP. This is pretty good in PvE, and can actually have some usage in guild raids as well, which is a place where Gangsta Boy Sigma shines, because sometimes there are bosses there with ads. Next up, Master Fighter. When your target is a player, increase damage deal by 6%. When you're attacked by a player, reduce damage you take by 6%. Pretty nice there. Very similar to Akuma's Way of the Fist passive. Has player killer and player sentinel kind of chunked in there. And it's under a different name, so it will stack with both of those, which is quite nice for PvP. And finally, we have Master Defender. Enhanced defense caused by Man's Duel is increased by 40%. Man's Duel, that is the last passive, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so the passive for this gets increased by 40%. Not bad there. And then for the unique recombined DNA, we have crit damage enhancement resignation. When you are in crit damage enhancement status, increase damage deal by 8%. So now when you're in crit damage enhancement status, you deal even more damage than you dealt before. Now, outside of that, you have access to short range adaptability, short range boost, adversity adaptability, adversary amplification, melee adaptability, melee amplification, things like that. But for the defensive ones, we have interference resistance, out of control resistance, no weapon resistance, blind special attack, immobilize special attack, which is quite nice because you do have immobilize in your kit. Slow special attack, you have slow in your kit as well. So that's it for Sigma's kit. Let's go take a look at some weapons that might pair well with him. Alright, taking a look at the weapons. Gangsta Boy Sigma has a preference for melee weapons, and you know what goes great with melee weapons? That's right, Busters, because the Buster melee combo is so easy and accessible to all players. So Buster melee is going to be something we cover. We cover basically every character. So for the Buster weapons here, Explosive Bolt, best sniper Buster in the game. Insane range, really good power. I always recommend for the hidden skill to pick a player killer. So the other player's skill or the other skill penetration actually has a lot more potential for DPS. However, it's a little bit harder to get damage out of that. And with player killer, you simply have to exist with the weapon now, as opposed to penetration. You need a decent setup, you know, a decent stage, but it does have higher potential for damage. I just recommend player killer because it's you equip it and then you can just do that. We also have the Sniper Buster here. Sniper Buster is an okay weapon, 120% attack damage, which is slightly lower than the 150% from the Bolt. Sniper Buster isn't a bad weapon. Sniper Buster, however, is available for free. So if you're a free-to-play player, or if you just haven't pulled it yet, oops, that's not what I wanted to click on. You can make it at research level 8 over here, which is very, very nice there. Hard Precision Buster is also an option as well. I don't really like it all that much. I say this every time. I like the appearance of it, but I don't really like it in practice as much. Quick hit status allows you to ignore terrain when shooting a Sniper Buster, which would be amazing. However, in order to trigger your quick hunt status, you have to first hit the target so that you could obtain the quick hunt status, which is in medium to long range for this here. If it didn't have this clause, if you could just snipe without this, I think it'd be broken. But I would like it a lot more if it did. And then this is what allows you to ignore the terrain and increase the flight speed. Aside from that, Destructive Blazer. Destructive Blazer is a limited weapon, so you can only pull this in limited weapon banners. And it's a pretty good type of weapon as well. It has a little bit less power than the previous busters I had shown. However, it has a bit of a higher rate of fire. So that kind of compensates for because you can fire more shots off than you could with the other weapons, despite it being a little bit weaker. Moving on to melee weapons here, and real quick, in the global version of the game, at the time of recording this, it is June 13th, so the melee bug is still probably in the game, so melee weapons are a little bit weaker than usual, so just keep that in mind when using any character with a melee weapon. I just want to throw that in here, so people are aware, just in case you're like, yo, my damage isn't what it used to be, or probably isn't what it should be. Just because of that. So first up, like I said, Nightmare. Nightmare is a fantastic weapon. You use Nightmare because it gives you a stackable attack boost. All you have to do is swing the weapon around, or hit the target. Once you have both of these passives unlocked, you can either hit the target or just swing the weapon around, and then you'll get a stackable attack boost on your character. Ancient Relic is a decent option for your utility. You don't really need Ancient Relic on Gangsta War Sigma, to be quite honest, but it is something that you can use. It has you have access to Speed Rune and Protect Rune. Speed gives you speed when you run out of energy. Protect Rune gives you a shield when you run out of energy. This shield is a lot worse than the shield he has inherently, so you don't want that. At least with the Speed Rune, you can stack the movement speed. Next up, the Grudge Axe. Grudge Axe is a weapon I don't really like all that much, but it's fantastic in PvP. The reason it's good is because it allows you to take the buffs that the opposition has and give them to yourself. So that's quite nice. It also inflicts them with out of control status, which means their horizontal movement will be reversed. So if they click left, they'll go right, vice versa. It has a 60% chance of triggering it per hit with this weapon. There's stealing a boost or inflicting out of control status. So that's quite nice there. Also want to throw Singularity Slasher in here as well. Singularity Slasher is a decent side grade to Grudge Axe. I think Grudge Axe is a lot better. Singularity Slasher has a consistent way to remove buffs. However, with Singularity Slasher, it dispels the buffs instead of giving them to you. And like I always say, why dispel the buffs when you can just take the buffs that your opponent has and have them for yourself, whether it be a shield, attack boost, defense boost, what have you. I'll throw in the Red Lotus Saber as well. I don't want to get too into it because it's not in the global version, but we should be getting it sometime soon, based on what 0x has said. So just keep this in mind as well as a weapon you might want to use. It's a good weapon. Like I said, don't want to go too far into it. Has burn, armor crush, speed boost, and lots of damage. So just keep that stuff in mind there. Evil Eye is a decent option as well for a machine gun. We got this in the global version. It can pierce terrain. Has pretty good attack power. It flips blind, which blind doesn't really matter all that much, but this is something you can use. Alongside that, another machine gun is the Acidic Machine Gun. Acidic Machine Gun has the potential to pierce terrain as well alongside inflicting dot damage, and I believe slow as well, if I remember correctly. I don't have the weapon on this account, so I can't really check if it has slow, but I'm pretty sure that's slow and dot or damage over time. Following those two weapons, Lightbender and Gator Fangs are also decent options you can use for PvP. Light Bender is a fantastic sprayer weapon, the best sprayer weapon. It has access to jamming, which allows it to dispel 3 buffs, which is quite nice. Bender deals additional damage by launching 3 saw blades, so that's something to keep in mind. And then we have the Gator Fangs as well. Gator Fangs is a great weapon to have in close quarters combat. It has Rending Fangs, which deals additional damage when in close range. On top of that, it's a Predator status, which increases your firing speed, and then Rapid Reload increases your reload time, or reduces your reload time, rather, like you reload faster. So you can deal a lot of damage real quick with this, and this inflicts Chilled, which reduces movement speed, which is akin to slow. And then following those two, we have the Cannon God, which is the size weapon at home. Cannon God is just a long-range weapon. You can use it as a zoning weapon. It pierces terrain, and it can inflict the Immobilize status. Cyber Cannon is an option as well you can use here, and it also pierces terrain. And it has here interference status as well that you can use. And here's the allows it to pierce terrain. And then finally we have the Sides Will. The Sides Will is a fantastic weapon. If you're playing more of a zoner, you'll be using the Sides Will. Even if you're not a zoner, you still might use this just because the weapon is that good in PvP. So what it does is, it doesn't matter if your auto aim is disabled, if you're confused, so your auto aim is not up for a few seconds. This weapon will still auto aim. It pierces terrain, and it's just really, really good. There's not really much else to say about it. If you've played this game for long enough and you've been playing PvP, you should know about this weapon. All right, for cards here, as usual, just gonna list off some generic things here. Starting with the generic things for cards. As I mentioned in Buster Melee, gotta give a shout out to the Elite Hunters. Elite Hunters, Buster Melee, this is what you use in Buster Melee, because you could have up to 18% damage increase with 2 copies of these and a copy of a red card, because you get 10% damage mitigation from this, from a 5-star copy, and then from a less than 5-star copy, you get 8% there. So that's quite nice. Following that, you could also use which I think is better in this scenario, you can use the Twin Heroes card, I believe it's called. I keep forgetting what it's called. I'm pretty sure it's Twin Heroes. It's a red card. It goes off red blue, which is great. And I'm pretty sure it has melee adaptability and melee amplification, so more damage when having a melee weapon equipped, which Gangsta Sigma won't have a lot of the time. Anyway, and there's a red card that triggers off this, which is really good. However, that card is pretty limited, so if you didn't get it when it was available, you probably don't have it. At least with the Elite Hunter card, you can get this from your guild, so it's free to play friendly. Following that, this is an option as well. The Access Memories card. Access Memory card is also a free to play friendly card. You can get this from the Deep Recorder, and as you can see, I have quite a few of them. I only have 1 maxed, but because that's I didn't feel like I needed any more at the time. But that's Buster Amplification 3. That triggers off red blue, and it's a red card, so you can use that alongside the Elite Hunters. I did want to throw this in here as well because I think this is an interesting tech. The Fugen card, 0 distance boost. It triggers off of blue. Blue, it also has double ability melee weapon, so you can get the 18% from the melee weapon and from the 0 boost as well. This is damage mitigation for here, damage mid. But you have to be equipping 2 melee weapons for this. So this is kind of like a melee oriented version of the Elite Hunters combination, right? Because you go blue, yellow. So then you get 18 damage amplification, 18 damage mitigation. But again, it's 0 damage boost for this, as opposed to just existing with a melee weapon. But I did want to include this in here because Gangsta Sigma is really good in raids as well. And in raids, if you're using a melee weapon, you're going to be basically in 0 distance boost most of the time anyway. Alright, so a bit more PvP oriented here. We have the Akuma card. I mentioned this earlier, but it has Master of the Fist. This came from the Street Fighter event, so if you missed that, you probably don't have the Akuma card. But the Akuma card triggers off of red, blue, so you can stack it with itself. Remember, just 1 copy, 5-star, 1 copy less than 5-star. You should have 10% damage amplification and mitigation for PvP, which is quite nice there. Speaking of PvP, we also have the Player Killer card, which is a generic thing you could put on for PvP. Player Killer just increases more damage as your target is a player. So as long as you're in PvP, this will trigger. M Bison is also from the Street Fighter event. However, there are a few other options if you don't have either of these, such as the Life Aura card for base EXE. You can get this from the token shop. It triggers off a yellow, yellow, red, so you can stack two of these together, have player killer 14% from the 2 and the 3, or you can get the Sigma X4 second form card. You only get one level of player killer from this because you can't stack these, but you can use this alongside something else. If you can't get the Elite Hunters card, you can use the Guild of Element, as you see here. Buster melee weapon, it has that amplification for that. Won't be nearly as potent at 6%, but you can get 14% total. So if you use two of these, this triggers off of green, yellow. So two of these plus a yellow card will allow you to get access to that. So it's not that much worse overall in damage because you're missing out on 4% damage amplification if you're using this over Elite Hunters. However, you are missing on the damage mitigation from having Elite Hunters. I also wanted to throw this in as well. It's not the best card, but it is an option if you're really on a budget. Like you don't have any arena tokens or any tokens at all. Your RNG is bad, so you can't get the other cards for player killer. Then you can get the Blue Gator card. Blue Gator card you can make in the research lab, so it is free to play friendly. Something you can do, and it triggers off of green, green, yellow, so you can stack this with itself. And there's one more option as well. Again, I don't really recommend it, but you can use the Mac card for Player Killer 2, Player Killer 1, and again, you can stack it with itself, so you can get up to 10% Player Killer here, because it triggers off of blue, so you go red, red, blue. So that's something you can do here. Alright, I think that's going to be it for Gangsta Boy Sigma. Sorry this one was a bit short, maybe a bit more rush. I do have some things I need to take care of today, so I wanted to get this done, at least uploaded today, to have something out covering Gangsta Boy Sigma for releases. So should you pull for Gangsta Boy Sigma, which is what a lot of you might be wondering at this point, maybe. Gangsta Boy Sigma is a pretty good unit. He's extremely potent in raids. If you are a raider, this is basically a must pull for you, because Gangsta Boy Sigma is just that good. If you don't really care about raids, or your PvP team is pretty much set, you can easily skip this guy. It's pretty solid in PvP, as you saw, as well as he does have some rolling capabilities, so he can go head to head with Dive Armor Zero pretty effectively. Though you do need to be careful because Dive Armor Zero has a lot more range than you, so you can just get poked out. You just have to play a little bit smarter. But yeah, if you're not a raider, you can skip this mostly. I don't know if we're gonna get a free pull with this alongside it like we usually do. I assume that we will, because Nebula Joe likes to do that. And at the time of recording this, the offline mode for X Dive was revealed yesterday. So some things, if you're watching this in the future, some things might be a lot different because there shouldn't be PvP in offline mode. So I just wanted to point that out as well in case anyone's watching at that point. But yeah, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. My channel goes to enjoy the content. I want to give a quick shout out to my YouTube channel members and my Patreons. Those who support my Patreon. If I continue supporting, let me do what I do. If you'd like to support me as a YouTube channel member or as a patron on Patreon, you can find the information. I'll do that down below in the description. And I'll catch you guys next time.